All right. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Alex Winningham here, coming live to you with the one and the only Jenn Reinke. I'm so excited that you're here with us, girl. It's a dream come true, right? Like I met you through a guy named Ken who said, you got to come to this Parker, Colorado networking group. This girl, Jenn, runs it. She's amazing. She's with Rodan and Field. She's like the connector of all connectors. And then I came and I was like, oh my gosh, she's my people. She has all these squirrels running around, right? Anyone who knows about squirrels knows about squirrels. And I know about squirrels, and so do you. So our squirrels started hanging out. And then we're like, we've got to hang out. And we did. And our first hour of hanging out, it was like, we just like talked about all of our dreams and becoming like professional speakers and growing our businesses and helping people be who they are and all these awesome things. So I'm super pumped that you're here. I think a lot of people are going to find value because we're going to talk about how nearly losing your child led to all of your strongest moments. So welcome. I'm excited. Tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are and all the things.
Well, I've been in Colorado for about 8 years, but originally from Chicago. Then I went out to college in Seattle. And I don't know if you want me to get into my kiddo right now and how we landed here, but I can certainly do that.
I think you should.
But my current job right now is leading an amazing team with Rodan Fields. But how I got there is a little bit different than most people's paths. But I was a former underwriter for $10 million loans and above. And then I realized that I really liked it because I was a teacher before that and I didn't really like it. They work really, really hard, but I ended up to the commercial side. I hear feedback. Sorry,
you're good. Go ahead.
Working my way up the commercial side of banking, and my last position was VP, and it was great times. And I noticed that I really loved helping people. But we ended up moving to Fiji, and people are always like, "How did you get invitation to live in Fiji?" But my husband decided to work for his previous boss. And so we ended up there, and it was a complete culture shock. Have you ever been there before?
It's on my dream board. So when you go next, I will come with you and then I can say yes.
I feel like next year might be the time that we put that into action.
Okay. So, yep. 2021, Fiji, here we come. Oh, that rhyme. That means it's going to happen.
It is. We put it out there. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I got to volunteer with the orphanages there. And so part of my past was being a guardian ad litem and getting into dissolution cases and investigating families. So children are just my dream. They just inspire me. And the way they look at things, they have big dreams, and I love it. So my husband had a work visa, so he worked, and I got to volunteer at the orphanages. We started a basketball camp, had people fly in shorts and shoes that were their sizes. And it was really great because we went from working 6-day weeks to really enjoying island life, and everything was slow pace. So that was a change for us. But pregnancy didn't go well, and I ended up living with my sister-in-law for a little bit. I had to come back to the States for their health care, and husband was back and forth. And basically, I don't know if you want to know, but basically she wanted to be born at 25 weeks and she wasn't going to make it. She was finally born in the States at 36 weeks, but she had major complications. And that's how we landed in Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then how did you land at Rodan and Fields?
Well, so my daughter's organs, they weren't working. Her liver was creating toxicity to the point of almost brain damage. Doctors, surgery, that's their main go-to. We did some different things, but it took 2 years for toxicity to go down. But during that time, I couldn't go back to my W-2 job, and that was hard because we did need the income. But we were stuck now. I'm back in the United States trying to get Eliana well. And my husband is the one who saw Rodan Fields on social media. His high school friends joined the business when we moved to Fiji. And had such incredible success with it. And he's like, this is what you need to do while we get Eliana well. There's no time to go into a 9-to-5 job. There's no ability to ask for time off. You're taking Eliana in for a blood test every single week. You can't have a boss right now, but you need that kind of money. And so he vetted it. He researched it. I'm the one that kind of kicked and screamed and said, I don't know much about it, but when you don't know about stuff, it's fear. And it's until you research it or even dive in and try that you realize, oh my gosh, you're good at it and you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. So he was the reason why I joined Rodana Fields.
That's so funny, right? That it's your husband that is the reason that you joined, right?
It is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's dive into a little bit about that. Now that we know who you are, we know why you started, we know what happened with Eliana, and Eliana's how old now?
8.
Right. Okay. So it was almost a rhetorical question because I knew, but I wanted to make it act like I was like finding out. So with Eliana and being young and going through all the health challenges that she was, and then you were presented this opportunity to have a home-based business. Talk about how did you get over those fears? Like, you're like, well, I could look into this, but there's so many stigmas, especially, until more recent years, there's a lot of stigmas against multi-level marketing, network marketing, direct sales, and you built a career out of it. You were able to bring in that income. And you've done it by being a kick-ass mom. Every time I talk to you, you're doing something with Eliana. Like, you are phenomenal. So when it came to make that decision of balancing work and motherhood from home, because it's a challenge, but it's so rewarding. So share with us, how did that all evolve? How did you get past those first few months or a year?
I knew that we had no choice and that I was the person to take the lead to do something that scared me and that was out of my comfort zone, because W-2 wasn't an option. And so I trusted what my husband had vetted and what he said about it. And then I talked to the gal, his high school friend, who gave me pieces of information about it. But I think one of my biggest fears was, one, I'm brand new to Colorado. I have 0 friends. How do I do this? I'm at the hospital all the time. How would you work in a business with that? You're talking to people. Who am I going to talk to? And then just working it around my schedule. But I realized the more that I researched it, the better I felt. But I was able to realize that, okay, I have the facts on this, this, and this. I'm a factual based person. I can shoot holes in anything, especially having a background in investigating families and underwriting. I'll shoot holes in this, and I will tell you how it's not going to work. But when it came down to it, I was satisfied with all the facts that I found out and the credibility of the doctors and who they are and where they're going. It came down to that I had my own fears, and it was because of me if I don't do this. And I decided the only way to get over my personal fears was to jump in and do it, because my family needed me right now. And we needed to find a way to build up our income and make sure Eliana was well at the same time. And that was on me. And that was how I kind of just got over the preconceived notions that something like this in this channel does not work. And because that is a lie.
Yes. Wow.
But it was pretty fabulous to go through all these steps to figure out what is the real problem here. Why am I not seeing this as an opportunity? It was all fear-based. And sometimes you just have to take a dive in and go for it.
Yeah. So how does someone do that? Whether someone's in fear right now with the way the economy is, right? Maybe they're in business for themselves. Maybe they own a brick and mortar. Maybe maybe people are getting nervous about, that the state's going to be kind of doing a soft open. It's almost like a soft grand opening that's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. So when we talk about fear, right? And you nearly losing your child, it led to your strongest moments. There's always that next level, right? And people are going through different levels. And so what can people do? And by the way, I just want to open this up. Anyone that's watching right now, if you have any questions for Jenn about what she's been through, her story, if you have questions about Rodan and Fields, if you have questions about working from home as a mom, if you have questions about moving from being a corporate VP to Fiji Island and what that transition was like this is an open discussion. So we just want you to know, feel free to pop in any questions that you have for her, because that's what this is. We want to have a discussion with our audience. We want to highlight Jenn, and we want to talk about that. So what are 3 steps people can do to move past their fear? You talked earlier when we were talking earlier this morning about identifying it, right? If you can't name it, you can't name it, you can't move. There's a saying that I can't think of, but anyways, you know what I'm saying. So take the floor, take the mic out of my hand, girl. I'm messing it up.
I think the very first thing is to be open-minded and be coachable. And there are times where people think they're coachable, but they're not really listening to the people who have done it before them. So emulate them, but make it your own. Make it something, maybe it's language comfortable to you. So coachable is very, very important, but you also have to be authentic. Like if I come and talk to you, my first, I want to get to know the person. I want to know who they are. I've always been built that way. I've always been fascinated about people's journeys. And I want to know them. And so that's one of my things that I think could help somebody else who's struggling in a business like this is make friends and get to know them. And when I first moved here, I didn't have any friends. I didn't even know my neighbors. And I didn't even know where I was at. I was like, my home was the hospital. And so I was like, where do I live again? Oh yeah, Aurora, Colorado. Okay. I had to go door knocking. I had to say I'm launching a new business and they're world-renowned dermatologists. If you are using skincare or interested in knowing this new brand coming out, come on over. I had 20 neighbors come over on my business launch. And it was probably because they were like, what is Rodan Fields? They're like, who's this girl? Who's this neighbor? And I was able to introduce it, but what I wanted to do was make friends. And it worked. So I think being open to being coachable, being authentically yourself, but actually time blocking for the activities that are going to move you forward. But I'm going to put in a 4th thing there, girlfriend. You have to personally develop. You have to find coaches outside of your business, perhaps that resonate with you, that push you. You have to be constantly listening to podcasts or articles that resonate with uplifting you. Mm-hmm. No way, as a human being, going through life tragedies that you can do this on your own with your own specific mindset. You have to be willing to grow. And the only way to grow is to learn from other people and know that there are people with tragedies in their life that are successful in channels like this because of the pain that they went through. Totally.
Yeah, girl, it really is in life and business. If you're not where you want to be in life, it's I don't want to say it's your fault, but you're responsible for that. And if you are where you want to be in life, that's also your fault and you're responsible for that. It goes both ways. There's the blaming game, right? Where we're going to blame others. We're going to blame our past. We're going to blame whatever it is. And I've been there. I speak from, and I'm sure you have too, right? Where we've been the victim. Yeah. Instead of being the victor, which is why we can direct people, not direct people, but guide people and be an inspiration. Be like, hey, I know where you're at. Mm-hmm. And here's some ideas and tools that I used to move past that. And if you want to use them, great. If not, no big deal. Choice is yours. Yeah. So we talk about time blocking, you talk about podcasts and books. So what are the what are some really good podcasts or some really good books that you've listened to that are easy read, that someone that may be just getting started into this personal development world could listen to or read?
Yeah. So my girlfriend in LA, she started to become a coach, and hers podcast, her name is Lisa Hyde. So I would look that up, Confidence Crown. Okay. That's pretty simple for me to listen in during my drive somewhere. It's great for my daughter to listen to as well. I drank the Kool-Aid of Mel Robbins and Rachel Hollis and all of them. those are some of the ones that I focus on. But Ed Milet, he's great for me because he's a straight shooter. And he's like, if you're not doing this and you're not growing, let's reset and let's make, get into action. So I like those kind of podcasts as well, is just straight shooter, be honest with me, and help me be honest with myself.
Ain't that the truth? Help yourself be honest. Helping you be honest with yourself. So, if someone is, so listen to podcasts, read a book, podcasts are free. So that's awesome. That's part of the reason we have this podcast, is because it's free information, and it's bringing like-minded leaders together to share the message, right? Without them having to go and spend, any money or a lot of time listening or reading, right? So it's little bite-sized information that can inspire people. Hey, live out who you really are. Like, don't worry about what your parents said. Don't worry about what expectations were on you. So were you born this way? Have you always been this like kick-ass business building empire queen, or what happened? I mean, what was childhood like? What was adolescent like? How did you become who you are today?
I think childhood, I don't think anybody has ever had a perfect childhood. And if they did, kudos to them. My parents went through a really long divorce, and I ended up living with my father at 6th grade. And so my sister and I kind of grew up as only children, and she lived with my mom. I lived with my dad. And I wouldn't say, they were empowering, like, yeah, you got to be an entrepreneur and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. I just think they were dealing with their own stuff. And so you had to find your way, which path are you going to take? And I've always been a fighter to take a stance for things that are right, or take a stance for the underdog, or prove that I can do better than what I'm doing right now. So I've always had that push and that grit. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to college. I am going to be the second person in my family. My dad went to college. I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to become a teacher, and I'm going to love it. That didn't work out. I couldn't, they worked so hard, and I couldn't pay my college loans. And then I got a job in underwriting, and I saw this big vision of what that company offered. And I was like, I'm going to do my best to hit every single improvement, raise, promotion that I can get out of that company. And that was still a lot of personal development too, but I wouldn't say that I was born this way. I don't know a lot of people who were, but when they do overcome certain setbacks in their mindset and they go full force, those are the people I find just incredibly inspiring. That's who I want to be around, because they hit certain things in their life that was, traumatic, or didn't go their way, or they didn't have the perfect childhood, but they still found a way. So I found those people, and I watched them and observed them, and I did the same thing. And that's another thing. You should be watching who you hang around. If it's people just, still this, still that, and you want to be here, maybe those people aren't the right people anymore, and you need to phase yourself out.
So how does someone do that? Especially for our audience that they're family members, or maybe they're a high school student listening to this, or a college kid, and they're like, but this is all I know. Like, how do I make new friends? It's super hard. And then what's funny is, as you become an adult, it can be harder to make friends, especially if you're defining your life on the mistakes or failures that have happened in middle age, like divorces and maybe kids that you have kids, and maybe one of them did pass away. Maybe one of them is just a complete mess. And it's like, how hard is that? We can take that on as a mom, we can take that on. So making new friends and surrounding yourself with different people. Of course, what you and I do as home-based businesses, oh my God, I almost just said the F word, but I'm so passionate about it. Like, we have community, like network marketing and home-based business. I wouldn't be who I am today without the leaders, the shoulders that are holding me up today, like the hands that they pick me back up when I can't go anymore. Like, I feel so honored and grateful that someone asked me to take a look at what I do for work. And same thing with you, I'm sure, like, because we have friends, we have communities, but for people who maybe don't have any interest in doing a home-based business or don't have an entrepreneurial spirit, like, but they're just, maybe our stay-at-home moms or maybe our students, that are too young to get into a home-based business. Like, what do they do? How do you change your friends?
Oh, well, that's a great question, because I think in our lives, we all go through phases of different groups and then we realize, okay, maybe this is a still person and they're not ready to grow. It doesn't mean that they're never going to grow, but I'm ready to go. And so I think throughout my life living here is I had to make friends, and those were door knocking, and those neighbors became my friends. And of course, they gave me the opportunity to share what I do with them, and they told other people, and that was great. But then I was like, you know what? I want a team. I want these type of women. And now I'm looking out for them. I'm looking out for certain characteristics that are going to resonate with the growth that I want to do as well. It's just being introduced to other people and other people. But it's also, I think most importantly, if you don't see that person helping you rise, you have to have the courage to say, you know what? I respect you and where you're at, but this is where I'm going. You could come with me, or you can stay where you're at, but I've got to elevate. And it's okay to say, you're not my tribe right now. I respect you and what you want to do, but it's time for me to leave. I think that's more important than just going out there and just finding, because I feel like those people will come into your path naturally and authentically, but you have to know where you're going or what you're not willing to put up with anymore to be able to open the door to have those people come in. And I am lucky because running a networking group, I've been able to observe those people and observe people who really truly want to thrive and want to be better than who they are today, which makes you a better wife, which makes you a better mom, which makes you a better friend, all of that. It transcends to every single aspect of your life. But I decided what I wasn't going to put up with anymore. Not that it's bad, not that those people are bad. I'm just not about it anymore. And that gave me new attributes, new characteristics to strive for. And that's when I started noticing that in everybody else. They came into my life, they've changed my life, and we just keep elevating together. And so I think that's a hard question, but I just want young ones or older, wiser ones to know that it's okay not to have certain people in your circle anymore, because there's going to be times over and over again that you're going to have to say, I've got to move on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, girl. Oh, absolutely. I am picking up what you are putting down. I am digging in the same garden, all that good stuff. Like, I get it.
You have to pray about it. You have to pray about it.
Yeah.
When you have that strength behind you, that decision was the right decision.
Totally. So that brings us to a different part of your story. And again, for whoever's watching, just if you have any questions for Jenn, just pop them in. We already had somebody ask about, they were asking like, what was your child's illness? So I put it in the comments because I got it on my phone here. So I want people to engage, right? So, but when you became a teacher, and then you knew it wasn't for you anymore. And oh my gosh, this is so good. So people go to college, they get this degree, and then they get the job and they're like, holy moly, this sucks. Like, I hate this. And then, so now they're stuck in a career with all this student debt and they hate their job. Yeah. So how in the world did you have the guts to step back and because that has to do with ego, right? And ego is what we call edging God out. Right. Yeah. Where we're like following like our pride, like, well, I went to college for this, I need to be doing this. And then you come in and then you're like, no, I don't like doing this. I love children, but I don't really want to deal with the parents and be the sugar-coated sweetheart that teachers have to be. It drops it.
Yeah. No, you know what? It was just, you have to give yourself permission and know that, when I went into it, I didn't know there was a lot of, behind the office stuff. And my whole goal was to save the world and save children and help them elevate. And there was just certain things that weren't in alignment with me. Mm-hmm. And you have to give yourself permission. Like, I know I worked my butt off to go to college to do this, but I just realized it's not for me. So you have to give yourself permission to look for something else. And I did, but it was still within kind of investigating, but I still got my fix, so to speak, with children, because I was a CASA before, which is a court appointed special advocate, at the same time of my W-2 corporate job, at the same time as being a guardian ad litem for dissolution cases. So I still got to save the world a little bit. It was just a different path that I thought I was going to go. And guess what? It's okay. It's okay not to stay on the path you thought you were going to do, because other doors are going to open and you've got to investigate those doors. Otherwise, opportunities just pass you by.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and would you say that there's like, if someone has either lost their faith or they don't know what it's like to have faith in a higher power, something out there that cares for you more, whether it's the word God or whether it's the word, Jesus or Buddha or Allah or Yahweh, like whatever, right? The spiritual realm is one that is so vast, and the spiritual warfare, if we really dive into it, can be very real when it comes to where are we investing our soul and our energy and all. Someone's just getting into that, like, and because you talked about prayer, right? So when someone is like, if they have some people grew up in homes where religion was shoved down their throat, or maybe they're gay and they're like, that church didn't accept me, so that means God doesn't accept me. So there's a lot that goes into that, where we want everyone to feel the love of God or our higher power or the universe, whatever it is, what the word is for them. How does someone dive into that?
I feel like you have to continuously dive in to educating yourself with all sorts of information to help you find what resonates with you. Not every single religion is going to be right for somebody. Doesn't mean you're bad. Not every people believe in spiritual warfare or the universe or full moon or what have you. But I feel like you just have to continue educating yourself so you can find out who you are and what you do resonate, because you deserve that power or that faith or that backup, so to speak. You deserve that information to keep pulling you up and keep going forward. But if you just stand still and you're not learning, you're not going to get the benefit of what is supposed to be coming into your path. And that's what I look at, because I told you I grew up very religious. Here today, it may not be for me or for my daughter or what have you, but you have to keep learning and keep searching. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus, and I pray every day, and I know he whispers to me, and I try to follow and listen. But I think that's one of the hardest things, is to listen and see those signs. But I think there is a higher power, and whatever that is for you, you've got to keep learning and searching and find that for yourself.
Yeah, because the Bible, girl, talk about a doozy. That is a hard read, and it's very opposite the Old Testament and the New Testament, like angry God, kind God, like what and I'm just speaking for me, like and like, not like, it's so much to take in. And when someone's like, man, I don't think I'm on the right path, and now I nearly lost my child, and then I can't really go back to work, and I just came from the islands, now I'm back in the United States, like, and then you have this business opportunity come up, and you had to go past that and find that information and keep your faith as you went through all of this. And gosh, it's just incredible, because so many people.
What if she didn't make it? I would have to be okay with that. I would have to be okay with that was the path. That was there's plans. There was plans for that, like that's the hardest thing. But yeah, through that whole thing and not knowing what the exact problem is, what the exact solution is, but listening to yourself and listening to how God is guiding you, I feel like that's why she's alive today. If I didn't listen, where would I be? Would I have a child? What would happen to her? So I think you consistently have to just be quiet, and you have to meditate and pray, and you have to listen. And back then it was so hard to do, because you want answers and answers and answers. And right now, and you want things fixed right now, it's not going to happen. And you have to have faith and just be patient. So that was really the hardest thing to do, is almost losing a child to listening, right? praying, and still building a business and empowering other people while making sure she was getting what she needed to. So it's tough all around. I mean, like, imagine starting a business and caring for a really sick baby and having zero friends because you just moved here. You would have to move and groove pretty quickly and be okay with the doubt that you might have that certain moment or that day. And you have to be coachable and accountable, and you have to surround yourself with people who support you, whether they're friends or family. Like, you have to do all of that to succeed. It takes a village, but it's a lot, but you can do it.
Yep. Anyway, if we can do it, you can do it. And I'm talking to the person who's watching this that may be doubting them or listening to this. If they're listening to the podcast version later on, if you're listening to this, just know you are valuable. Like, you can do this. If Jenn and I can make it past all the things that we've both been through in motherhood and in life and different adversities we faced in our young adult lives, like, you can do it. And it's hard right now because we've been in isolation and quarantine, and there's a lot of fear happening right now. But just know that, like, you can figure this out. You know, like Jenn earlier in this session, she talked about listening to a podcast, reading a book. Everyone knows Mel Gibson and Mel Robbins and Rachel Hollis. And you can just pop on and even like this podcast on True North 365, you can find it on iTunes and Spotify. Listen to an episode. There's so many entrepreneurs that we've brought on that have shared their story of adversity and how they just kept going. And that's exactly what Jenn's talking about. And having that faith, right? Having the belief and conviction that life is going to get better. And you never know, it could get better today. You could get a mail in the check from an unexpected source of someone who owed you money or a company that owed you money. And it's in the mailbox later today. So Don't discount don't judge your life based on the amount of dollars that's in your bank account, or based on, how many friends you currently have, or what happened in the past, or resentments that are happening in your life, or someone that pissed you off or crossed you wrong from even in your childhood. You never know when they're going to come up and make amends to you, right? But before they do that, you have to make amends to yourself and let it go. And you also have to be, I'm not telling someone what they have to do. I'm just making recommendation, like, we can all rise up together. Just like you said, in a community, it takes a village, all of these things. And you have a village, Jenn. Like, you have a support group, right? Not a support group, but anyone who lives in the Douglas County area here in Colorado, Jenn has a group called Denver Meet and Greets, and it is for people who are in business. And there's such a collective of individuals in there. Like, you don't have to be a certain person. I've met with quite a few of the people in there, and they're so amazing and so unique, and everyone has a unique, different story. And we all have the same goal. It's to connect and grow, right? Some people are more transactional than transformational, and that's okay. We're all at our different growth levels, but there is a group. So can you share a little bit more about, starting this networking group? You're on social media, maybe someone's at home and they don't have the guts to go door knocking. I think 99% of the population would not have done what you did. And so what can the other 99%, what can they do? Can they join your Facebook group if they do have a business? Can you think of other ways they can join a group that they can pop into and maybe make some friends?
Yeah. When I first moved here, it was the first time I was ever introduced to networking groups. And I started going to them, and I didn't understand what we were doing. And the reason why is because I build relationships, and that's what I love to do. And when I went to these networking groups, they were transactional, and I was like, I don't get it. But you know what? Then I thought, maybe they don't get it. Maybe they don't know there's a greater purpose to what they're doing and why they should be here in this meeting right now. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to do, is help pull that out of them. So I started my meetup group, and it started very small. And thank you to those people who came when it was only 10 people, and they invited their friends, their friend, and that's how our businesses grow too, is word of mouth, right? And it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I wanted to keep it no charge, because I wanted people to come in authentically themselves and build the relationship that they're supposed to build, and give leads to people authentically, right? Instead of being like, okay, I've got 10 this week, I'm a good girl,
Yeah.
Because then quality doesn't come with that sometimes as well. And so I started it. It started very small. I kept consistent, even when I had people, 5 people cancel. We're still having the meeting. I don't care if it's just 5 people.
Yeah.
we're going to build relationships and we're going to get to know each other and we're going to help each other out. And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And thanks to the people who see value in building relationships, because they would invite other people as well. So now I have some rules to it now, 2 people per industry, not same company. I try to stick to, and now it's about 25 people, but we were meeting at a place that was no charge. So when we're off of this lockdown, we're going to be able to pick that back up and see each other again. But yeah, if you are looking for community, you're looking for friendships, or maybe you started a new business and you need to expand your network, that's what we do, is we help each other expand layers of network by sharing our friends with each other. So come to it. You're invited.
Cool.
And Being Great Denver South page, we can add you to it, and you post about yourself Monday and Wednesday and share whatever you want.
Yeah.
And, continue to be authentically you. That's what we want out of you.
Totally. And what days and times does that meet again?
Usually it's the first and third Fridays of every month when we can see each other. And then Mondays and Wednesdays, 7 a.m., start posting about yourself, start sharing something. I mean, if you run out of ideas, I've got a million for other people. I rarely have them for myself.
Totally, right?
Every single business, there's so much to be said about them. There's so much to share. And how do you share it? How do you share it authentically? That's what I love helping with. So on the side, I also teach classes about, putting your perfect pitch together, or what do you say in your follow-ups? How many follow-ups should you have? Or, how do I present myself authentically, me? So I teach those classes too. I just need to get back on it a little bit because I slid off a little bit.
Yeah, that's a lot to do, man. That's a lot of give back. And, it's a lot to orchestrate. People, I don't think a lot of people realize how much work is put into being successful, and also creating. I came to one of your classes and it was about follow up, and there were 12 ways to follow up with people.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, this is awesome. And I used some of them and they worked. Like, your stuff works, and it's authentic. It's building relationships. And for those of you listening right now, we're talking about sales. We're talking about building relationships, right? Because if you're in business, guess what? You're in sales, whether you like it or not. Like, being in business is being in sales, and you need to know how to get better at it. And the only reason you're going to be frustrated in business is because you're not learning enough and I'm cutting to the core right now. And people may not like this, but if you want to get better in your business and you want to make more money, you need to invest in yourself, whether it's in your time when you're reading a book, going to one of Jenn's classes, listening to a podcast, training, paying for a coach, paying for a trainer to help you with sales. And sales is really about making it about other people. Like, it's not even about you. Like, it's about asking people, hey, would you be open to taking a look at what I do? If not, no big deal. Like, just take a look. And it's like when we're blasting people with like, oh my gosh, check out this sale, check out this, this. Like, we unfollow people like that on social media. Like, we want people who are authentic, who are appreciating, who are recognizing others. And, I have a friend, like, you do really well at this. There's another guy that sticks out to me. His name's Sean, and he does he just talks about how awesome people are. He'll meet with someone, he takes a picture, and then he's like, meet blah, blah, blah. They're awesome. I'm always like, I need to do that. But then, like, sitting down and actually doing it is like a whole nother thing. And here's the other part, girl, time blocking. And you talked about this. Can you picture a little, because I know we're running out of time because you got a 12 o'clock call. So can you tell us just quickly, and then you can have the floor the rest of the time, but just how do people time block? What the F is time blocking?
Okay. So first of all, if you get into your business and you're super excited and then you realize it's work and some of it's not going well for you, it's not the business. It's not your upline. It is you. And it's because you are probably not doing a process that you should be. And one of them is time blocking. And within that time blocking, for example, now that we're homeschooling, our world has changed. What days work best for you? And when do you have the most energy to work your business? That's question number one, right? And so for me, it's every day at, after 12 o'clock, after I'm done homeschooling. And within that time blocking, I'm making sure I'm talking to people. I am not writing administrative stuff. I am not working my calendar for next week. I am actually in action talking to people. Most of my talking to people, especially these days, what's going on in your life? How can I help? How are you? I mean, it's simple as that. So I have a specific process. I have specific activities within that process, and it works. And I feel like when people are saying, okay, this business doesn't work, or there's no business out there, let's reassess what you're not doing and what you're not doing consistently at, because it takes passion and consistency to work your own business, to build your own business, whether it's in a retail shop or it's in this channel. You have to be consistent and you have to show up, right? Yeah. Imagine if I had a retail store and I said, you know what, I don't feel like showing up today. Do you think I'm going to build that business? Because those doors are locked. Nobody knows I'm there, right?
Right.
We have to think about that. We have to be open for business every single day. Time blocking is hard for most people. It isn't for me, only because I see the ROI, the return on efforts or investment, or, putting things in my calendar, buying an app that works for me, things like that. When you see that, that's where you start having faith, but you got to know you're not going to see that right away.
Yeah.
You better have faith to consistently do that time blocking every single week, without fail. What other was the question?
That's it. And then just what else is there anything that I missed that you really want our audience to hear, that you want people to walk away with? If there's one thing, if they're listening to this, what's the one thing that you would want them to walk away with?
I want you to walk away with that you can do it. Whatever it is that you're in your mind saying, I'm not going to be good at that, or I'm too afraid to pivot, that's when you absolutely do it and you pivot. And so it hurts my feelings. Like, I have one feeling. No, I'm just kidding. When somebody says, I'm not going to be good at that, because I'm wondering what happened in their life that made them have such low self-esteem or low self-worth, where they're like, I'm not good enough to be at that level or to do this or that. What happened? And why would you not try something and just give it a shot? So I want you guys to know that you can do it. You have grit. You can build any type of education around you to help you get there. You have a great community. You have great friends. We're two of your bestest friends now. And I just want to walk away letting you guys know that if there's something that you fear, investigate it a little bit more and absolutely give it a shot, because this is the time in our life right now with our world that we need to pivot and we need to add something or do something different, or just do it more.
Yeah. Great, girl. Great. And how can people get a hold of you? What's your name? I'm going to tag you on this video, and then I'll put your contact information on the podcast episode notes. But just for people that are watching right now, how do they get a hold of you, and what kind of work do you do? How, for the people who are just joining us, this has been going on for 45 minutes. So why would someone reach out to you, and blah, blah, blah?
Yeah. So my email, do you want me to say my email?
Do it all. Give me your address, your social security number, your email.
Everything. This is my debit card, and this is the PIN. No, just kidding. Jenn Reinke. I'm with Rodan Fields. I am continuously finding amazing women and building a great, fabulous team. I love the products, of course, because when I started the business, I was on Accutane for cystic acne. I didn't think anything would work. Whatever, it did. Look at her now. I think it's looking okay now, from cystic acne and melasma. So I know the products work, but I want to invite people to learn about the business and how it can weave into anybody's busy life. This is a great opportunity to pivot and now look at something like this in this channel as something that can benefit you. My email is jennsrf@gmail.com. Message if you want my phone number. And I am happy to introduce you to whoever you want to be introduced to, or whatever I can help you with, let me know. And I'd also like to invite you to take a look at Rodan Fields, because it is a thriving, amazing business going into their 4th country, and we're not stopping.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's a great business for people who are passionate about helping people feel confident, The skincare that you guys offer is bar none. And I don't even know if bar none is the right word. I think it is, right? It's good. It sounds good. And for people that are into like beauty and skincare and want to like do videos about that stuff and all that, like this, if you're going to do a home-based business, do something that makes you passionate, right? Like do something that's going to bring you joy, that you're naturally into, because more than likely you're going to be consistent with it. Don't join either one of us if it's for money, because that will only take you so far. And so if you like what you hear from Jenn, you like her personality, you like skincare, cosmetics, and badass women to work with, she's your girl. And if anything, you can use the products and change your skin and change your life. So we're excited for you, Jenn. I'm cheering you on, girl. I'm so excited that we're in each other's lives. And we'll have you on again, I'm sure, very soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yep. Cool. Okay, I'm going to end broadcast and then we'll chit chat.
I'm so excited to chit chat. Okay.
Okay, bye. Hang on, let's see.